Hey guys!
Hello!
Welcome back to another episode of
Coupled Up.
Thank you so much for all of the amazing engagement, either through comments or compliments that you've paid us on the last video.
Absolutely.
About finance. Well, as you can see from the title, this is another hot topic in the sense that it's a topic that not a lot of people talk about, or not a lot of people are comfortable talking about.
Exactly, but we're very excited about sharing our thoughts today and our own experience in our relationship. Actually, right? We're gonna share a few things.
Damn it!
Don't worry, not too much TMI. I mean, don't worry.
Yeah. Okay.
Don't worry, but
I don't know what you have planned.
Well, I didn't tell her everything I'm gonna say.
I will cut it out of the video, David. It's a topic that David and I personally believe that is very important.
Absolutely.
In a relationship. Very important. Even more so when you have kids.
Oh, Jesus, yes.
Yes.
Yeah. As Adanna said, of course, we are very aware that it is a difficult topic. And I think another thing I'm gonna say at the outset, of course, we also are in the process, of course, ourselves, and know that it comes in stages. These things change, right? Evolve, exactly. They grow, they get better in most cases, right? So that's very important to, first of all, understand and be aware of. Yeah. Having said that, of course, I think in our case, part of knowing that you found the one, and there are many aspects to this, but part of that is also, of course, around being on the same page when it comes to intimacy and when it comes to, right, what you want and need personally. Yeah. This was, I think, a very easy point for us to tick. For
me, as far as communication is concerned, with regards to this topic, I think it's very, very important to address it early on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's just say that your intimate moments are not being completely satisfied. They're not going in the direction that you wanted, or your partner is suggesting a few things that you feel uncomfortable with, for example. That's something that you should address very early on. Obviously, if it's a very healthy relationship, I don't see why adjustments shouldn't be made if somebody echoes a concern. That's only one aspect of communication. The other could be something I know that a lot of married couples with kids face, which is the frequency.
Right, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So it could be the frequency. I mean, truth be told, and there's no point shying away from this. Like, if you're in a relationship or like your honeymoon phase, chances are that you are humping each other like rabbits multiple times a day. The fact is, when real life sets, it might not be as frequent.
Right.
As far as personal experience, there have been different points of our journey that has commanded us to have that conversation. So if I think of the very beginning, and echoing what David said, luckily, unfortunately, we were on the same page in terms of everything, like, you know, chemistry, talent, skill.
You just did not use the word talent in the context of intimacy.
Experience. But anyway.
We're just going to leave that there.
We're just going to leave that there. But as far as like skills and talents, we were on the same page. Yeah. As far as frequency, we were on the same page. Yeah. One of the major changes in our lives that commanded an important conversation was around the pregnancy for the kids. And not even the journey of the pregnancy. I meant like probably after childbirth, because that's still very much subjective how long it takes a woman to recover. Depending on whether you had a natural birth or a C-section, like you're recovering from surgery or you're recovering from a tear. Your hormonal imbalance could really affect your libido. You might not be interested. There's so many. It works differently for different women, and I know this because I do have, you know, a sister who's had kids. I have friends who are mothers. So sharing stories will make you realize, well, you're not alone.
Absolutely.
So the first conversation is with your husband.
I think at least, I hope I was
Yeah.
already quite understanding and not demanding anything
No,
that
you
was,
don't.
unreasonable
Yeah.
or I hope anyway.
No.
But it's true though. It is probably the first time, or the first extreme maybe moment,
Yeah.
where your, let's say, routine, if you want to call it, or your natural
Yeah.
flow of things might be heavily interrupted.
To be completely transparent, that conversation around that time or that phase in our life it came from me. And because obviously, like, well, David said, I wasn't forced or pressured or made to feel any way around that time. But I think for me personally,
Right.
the guilt, I
Right.
mean, maybe some women, can share the same feeling or experience, but I felt a bit guilty of like, like maybe not satisfying David or like not pleasing David.
No,
I
of
felt
course,
guilty
of course.
because the frequency was not as much. So I felt like the conversation, I needed to say, listen, babe, honestly, like I'm really not in the mood. I feel very tired. Or like,
of
around
course.
this period of
Absolutely.
breastfeeding or recovery.
No, that's very important.
So and that was fine.
Yeah.
Right?
And then, of course, even besides childbirth or pregnancies, generally in life, there are moments or there are times maybe where, the frequency might change. I think in our case, it was interesting. I mean, as you guys know, we've been married now for roughly,
6 years.
6 years now, if you count the traditional wedding. And yes, of course, even within 6 years, there are times other than the childbirth where those things have changed, right? And I think what was interesting for us...
Those things, what things?
What do you mean?
Is that in
Like
6
the
years, where those
frequency
things-
of being
the
intimate.
the frequency. I thought, okay, that makes sense.
No, but and because usually, at least, it's because life just happens, right? I mean, again, once you have kids, of course, that adds a whole nother level of work and everything, and being tired maybe at work,
And
right?
sometimes, being interrupted by somebody crying.
Well, of course, that adds to it as well. You can't even get started because every 30 minutes somebody just cries. But I think my point was, in our case, it was interesting because sometimes you don't even realize it. This might sound strange to people who are still in their honeymoon phase, right? Like, how can you not? But like, trust me, when both are tired in the evening, you just lie down. You know what? You literally don't think about that in that moment. But of course, over time, then we had some conversations where I think it was you, or both of us, maybe I can't remember exactly, but I remember at least one moment where, we're literally there like, wow, like it has been whatever days now, and we both didn't seem to really talk, like think about it or something. Like, that is strange, this is unheard of in our relationship.
Yeah.
And then kind of both had to kind of, we kind of laughed about it, but also I think both realized, you know what, in as much as it's funny now because fortunately both of us were feeling the same way in a way, we did also realize that, look, but it is probably something to, talk about it openly and make sure that it ultimately doesn't lead to one person, starting to maybe feel actually like, oh, but I really wish, or, and then being unhappy.
Yeah, I think for me that was a very important conversation
Right.
to kind of change my perspective because of, well, we keep going on about frequency, but really, if you just start dating or newly marry somebody you have all the physical chemistry with, trust me, frequency will not be your issue. So now that we're in this, I suppose, other phase of our lives that involve kids and work and work travel and all that, I just thought that's what it meant. If you weren't intimate that frequently, that many times a day and a week, something's wrong.
Yeah, exactly. The relationship wasn't as good anymore.
The relationship wasn't
There's
as
no
good.
love anymore. I think you literally said that, like, it doesn't mean we don't love each other. It was like, I was like, oh,
yeah,
what?
Yeah, and David was like, babe, okay, let me just address this real quick. Love grows. I think that's what he said, like, love changes, and that's what even strengthens a relationship is, I suppose, going through the different phases together. So if we've now come down in frequency, we're there together rather than one person feeling unsatisfied.
Absolutely. You can't really expect however your honeymoon phase, as we call it, the beginning of the relationship, starts off. It's completely unrealistic to think or expect that to always continue for the rest of your life. But you thought that.
100%.
I know.
That. 100%.
It's impossible. I mean, it literally is not possible in my view. I mean, so I kind of had always, the awareness. Now, of course, look, it all depends. Again, it all depends, of course, that both are on the same page. Now, if one person, of course, expects that or demands that, and the other clearly isn't on, on par with that. That of course where the problem starts. But I thought it was very normal and okay, and I still felt like I was still happy with the life. I probably loved Adanna even more than I ever actually did before.
Yeah.
Had nothing to do for me with that.
That's the funny thing, because in that conversation, that's when you said, "I even love you more." I feel like now we're 100% trusting of each other, dependent on each other, building our family together. That means that our love is even strengthened. And I was like,
kind of makes sense.
Kind of makes sense.
But of course, having said that, we still obviously, it was still a very, very important topic.
Yeah.
Right? So it was still a very important element for us, I think, to be intimate and find the right balance ultimately.
You know what I believe played a role in influencing my thought process around frequency affecting a relationship? It could be very much societal as well.
Yeah.
Growing up in Nigeria, you are conditioned to think that your role is to please your husband, and you're also made to believe that the frequency or the lack thereof is what results in your partner cheating. Yeah,
that's actually true. That I think also was a big part of your concerns, right? That was another thing that for me. You're right. Actually, I now remember when you said it. That is actually was something that, I mean, of course, when you think about it, it kind of makes sense. But to the extreme that I think you were thinking at the time, that or if I don't deliver, to that degree at least, right? Then most likely, the man will probably just go off and cheat, because that's the only reason that men really care about. Kind of. I mean, it's exaggerating a little bit now, but that for me was also like a very, at the time, a foreign kind of concept again. It made sense when you said it.
Yeah,
but I never
it's
thought.
Foreign. I know it was very foreign to you because of your responses.
Cheating, oftentimes, if it's really like cheating. I mean, if people just have several girlfriends, secret or whatever, then it's just their behavior. They just, for some reason, don't get the idea of being loyal. But if it's really about cheating, it's not just about the physicality of the act. Let's just call it, right? To be correct. But I think there's much more to it. So for me, the love was growing stronger. I was happy in our life that we were building as a family, right? Why would I cheat? That's me now, of course, my thought process at the time.
Yeah, whereas mine was,
he's not getting as much as he used to, so he might get off and... No.
Obviously, you
learn a lot.
I don't want to go into TMI, but...
You probably are about to.
No, I was going to say, obviously, that was only like that phase around... Sure. The pregnancy, and even now with like our work travel, but it's just the understanding that, of course, when it happens, however many times it does, it's great. It's not like you're missing anything.
Yeah, and also I think one important sneak peek or preview we can give anybody who's currently going through maybe a phase like this with their partner, it does get better again. Let's just say.
Oh my God, my dad is watching this. Dad, I apologize. And Mom, if you're watching this, oh my God.
So, for whatever reason, you're going through a period that things are changing. But once you, of course, adjust to a new maybe stage in your life together, and you have a healthy, good, open relationship, I believe, with your partner, there is no reason.
You mean open in terms of communication?
Yes, you're right. Of course, sorry. Yes, I should say... in terms of having an open communication, obviously.
But even that's an important topic to bring up.
True.
Open relationships, because...
Oh, wow, now you're jumping.
No, because you mentioned it, and then I thought, because, I mean, these are conversations we've had. We talk about these things. Because, see, that's something I really struggled with around the concept of monogamy and the reason why I grew up believing all men cheat. Right?
Yeah.
And for me, I just thought, well, if every man is gonna cheat anyway...
Right, what's the point?
No.
Okay.
I reflected and concluded that what would hurt me is me not knowing about it, like doing it behind my back. You know the way the normal cheating scandal, either you got caught with a text message or whatever, but I mean, we don't even look through each other's phones in that way. But that's usually typical when you distrust someone, look through their phone or whatever, then you find out they're cheating. And that's when I bring out this conversation, and David, every time I bring out this conversation, David literally thinks I'm crazy, right? And I'm like, you know what? Who knows? Maybe somebody might want to step up, but you should tell me. But obviously, I say this very, like, trying to be open-minded, and David's like, you're not. You are crazy.
But you first have to have that desire to even want to do that, right?
No, I know, but I think everything is still wrapped under the umbrella of communication.
Yeah, okay. No, you're right, yeah.
Even though I feel like it'd be weird for somebody to come and say, now I want to cheat on you.
Completely. I think the more, let's say, harmless version of that is, if maybe down the line, there are certain, maybe, again, you might get over time a little bit bored, right? To be fair, though, or you might think just maybe it doesn't excite you as much anymore. You still love the person, that's not the problem, but just like maybe it becomes a little routine.
Yeah,
I think that's kind of, again, the harmless version of what you just said, to then actually be open and say, hey, I want to try something different. Okay, that's something we maybe haven't tried.
Within each other.
Yeah, of course, that's my point, exactly. But between each other, like whatever it might be. Again, I don't want to get into any preferences or whatever it might be, but I think you can imagine there can be many different things you could do differently, potentially, right? So I think that's another, really important point when it comes to communication, to be honest about when you may want to try out something different, or you're not happy with what you're doing.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that is, otherwise, if you don't say anything, you can't expect it to get better.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
And if it's important to you, which again, in our experience at least it is really, then you need to make sure that you're happy. Right?
Sorry,
help me out here, guys.
Something just popped into my head and I'm like, I am not saying that on camera. I am not.
And then one last, maybe small side point. I have recently kind of started, let's say, to eat much less meat, and if possible, no meat. So, i.e., I guess, become a vegetarian. Yeah. Although I'm not 100% there yet, but I'm at least making some effort.
You can't do without salami.
There are a few things that I still really love, exactly. Yeah, but, at least not big steak or anything like this.
Yeah.
It was because I watched a documentary on Netflix called The Game Changers, where they pretty much said that the plant-based proteins are better for your health and are better for your fitness and sort of activity levels, brain functionalities and everything. And that really was convincing. What I didn't say was there was a element at the end of that documentary as well, and again, all of you that watched it probably know about this, where they also made the point that it does actually impact, especially for men apparently, your capabilities, let's just say.
Oh.
Okay. And they even did some studies on this. They even mentioned like some certain ways. Again, watch it yourself. I don't want to get into it.
I haven't even watched it, guys.
They even measured it. Yeah, they have. On the impact this could have, like overnight, even one person eating, let's say, meat-based meal, and the other one eating plant-based meal, and then they measured things overnight. Yeah, it was a bit weird. But the bottom line is...
I bet that's the major point that convinced you.
Not at all. I was already sold halfway
Not
through.
At all. You sounded so German.
No. I don't need that, you see. I don't even need any increasing capabilities.
Oh my god. Oh my god, my parents are gonna kill me.
Hi, mommy and daddy. So that I don't know how true that is and how how strong the correlation is there, but just maybe an interesting side point that there might be certain ways as well to help with things, let's just say.
Anyway, this brings us to the end of this particular episode. What I've realized, okay, even from, let's just take the first episode, for example, the finance thing. The comments and the interaction and the engagement really makes me feel the need to do another episode. Same on finance.
Right.
Like 2 and 3.
Right,
like 2 per 3.
Right.
So I think that's not going to be uncommon if we feel like we need to add more points to a topic that we've already done.
Yeah, we'll go deeper on a certain element of that topic. Yeah, absolutely.
But I think that will be influenced by sort of like the questions or feedback that we get. So this is the end of this topic. I feel like we've covered a lot. But I think based on the comment, if you guys have any questions or you want to share your experiences, or if you don't feel comfortable sharing your experiences, we do hope that this video provided an insight into what happens in another couple's life.
Absolutely. Please leave your comments down below, guys, whether you agree or disagree with us. We're very happy to hear from you. Share the video, of course, if you want, and make sure you like it as well. But thanks very much for watching. And we'll see you in the next video.
See you. Bye. Okay, so
Now what?
thumbnail.
Thumbnail?
Are we clear?
Yeah, I think we are. What are you gonna do?
Is this something raunchy?
Raunchy? Like what?
Take off your shirt.
I knew you were gonna say that. I don't think anybody wants to see that other than you.
I want to see it. What is wrong with you? I'm done. You're cancelled.
I'm cancelled. Okay, bye. I think without the tongue, that was just weird. But the kiss is nice.
It actually felt nice.